From Timcast.com, Facebook worked with the FBI to spy on conservatives who questioned the 2020 election. The company has been sending direct messages of its users to the FBI for 19 months. Whoa. Yo, that's crazy. And of course, all of you know, Timcast.com is NewsGuard certified. That means this reporting is true and correct. You see, we do not repeatedly publish false content.
Good for us.
We clarify errors. We disclose ownership. So when people ask you, how do you, the FBI is not spying with Facebook's help. You can be like, NewsGuard certified website said it was true. Here you go. A new report from the New York Post cites sources from within the U.S. Department of Justice who say someone at Facebook has red flagged what are deemed to be subversive private messages over the past 19 months and transmitted them to the domestic terrorism unit at FBI headquarters in D.C. The Post spoke with multiple individuals who did not wish to be identified. Quote, "It was done outside the legal process and without probable cause," an anonymous source said. Facebook provides the FBI with private conversations which are protected by the First Amendment without any subpoena. Mm-hmm. According to the report, the private messages are then sent to FBI field offices around the country as leads, which has resulted in the targeted Facebook users being investigated, sometimes using covert surveillance techniques. Whoa. All of the accounts flagged for domestic terrorism were conservative right-wing individuals. It must be just a mistake, you know. They forgot to go after Antifa.
Yeah, exactly.
A source said they were gun-toting, red-blooded Americans who were angry after the election and shooting off their mouths and talking about staging protests. There was nothing criminal, nothing about violence or massacring or assassinating anyone. As soon as subpoena was requested, within an hour, Facebook sent back gigabytes of data and photos. It was ready to go. They were just waiting for that legal process so they could send it. And I also think, too, they say they do mention, even before that, without any subpoena. So a lot of these were just Facebook being like, here you go, buddy, have fun. One source characterized the operation as a waste of our time. Now, that's amazing. When confronted over the allegations, Facebook first issued a denial. However, an hour later, Erica Sakin, spokesperson at Facebook's parent company, Meta, said the company was working with the FBI to protect people from harm. And there it is. These claims are false because they reflect a misunderstanding on how our systems protect people from harm and how we engage with law enforcement. We carefully scrutinize all government requests, blah, blah, blah. These claims are just wrong. The suggestion we seek out people's private messages for anti-government language or questions about the validity of past elections and then proactively supply those to the FBI is plainly inaccurate, and there is zero evidence to support it. As of September 14th, the FBI would neither confirm nor deny the specific allegation of private messages being shared by Facebook, but said that the agency maintains relationships with social media companies. The FBI also said it maintains an ongoing dialogue with social media platforms to enable a quick exchange of threat information. So Signal, do you guys use Signal? What do you use?
You don't want to tell people what you use, first of all, because there's a lot of different platforms up there. Some of them are even honeypots. I don't think there's anything sacred. There's no privacy online. Whenever you have an iPhone or an Android or you're on Facebook, everything you say is going directly to them and the feds. And I just wanted to comment here. There sure seems to be a lot of connections to intel agencies and Facebook, especially since the beginning of that company. And even yesterday, our guest, Devin Nunes, I asked him, who's more powerful, big tech social media or the intelligence agencies? He said that they're the same thing, and they are.
But the funny thing was that he was like, that's a good question.
Yes,
like,
and he thought about it,
you know?
and then he talked about something else, and I'm like, wait, hold on. And then I had to ask him again, and he was like, they're the same thing, and they are. They absolutely are.
And I want to make this point, and we talk about this in the conspiracy world, and Tim, you said a funny thing about how I'm kind of like Luke's progeny, and I am, because Luke has been...
Well, that was before the show, so nobody knows the context.
I know, but Luke is, an OG truther, but we'll get into that. But I just want to make this point, too, is we have what is known as declassified information called Operation Mockingbird, and this is in the 70s, and this is when the CIA said that they have representatives in every form of our media, radio, television, movies, and film.
That was the church committee hearings, specifically. Operation Mockingbird was a different operation. Just a heads up. There's like a little misnomer.
Is there?
About
Okay,
it.
well, listen, he's the expert. He's the nerd. I'm Primetime 99. I'm in a locker. But my point being is that we know that they have representatives in all of these platforms. So if you don't think that social media is not infected with representatives from the FBI and CIA, you're dreaming. And that is why TikTok is so dangerous, because TikTok has representatives from the Chinese government. And now they have all of our information of little kids. And Lord knows these kids are very vulnerable on there. So who knows what information they have on them, what pictures. So that all of these social media platforms that we use that are fully addicting are basically all DARPA-engineered social media addiction tools to get inside information about ourselves.
Twitter whistleblower recently revealed that there were, I think, foreign spies in Twitter. And that I think what they said was, well, if we've got one, then who cares if there are more? Let's recruit more people.
And wasn't the Saudi government caught spying on activists that were protesting them and getting data and information about that? I have to fact check this story.
Didn't the Saudi prince buy a portion of
Wait,
Exactly.
guys, we cannot talk about Saudi Arabia without mentioning the 19 hijackers that.
I don't want to deviate.
I know we're
too
not going
far.
to do
Come
that.
on,
No,
come on,
I'm
come
just
on.
kidding because
Too far.
Luke's on the
Stay
show. Sorry, no,
focused, yeah.
but we love Saudi.
We're going to
Arabia.
go off the rails.
Thank you so much, Saudi
No,
Arabia.
we got this modern.
I like
stuff to
that
talk
Alex
about.
is here.
We love you, Saudi Arabia.
I can
we
only
would never
imagine
fight a war with you.
The members only segment tonight will be
Watch the members only. We're going to go insane for Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky will be there on Zoom.
insane for Ukraine.
I love that. That's good. That's good.
How you doing, Ryan? Just sitting there.
Hey, I mean,
I'm sorry, Ryan.
I wasn't sure what Alex, how hard he was going to come in, but he's coming very hard.
I'll cool down, I'll cool down,
he's like
I'll
the
cool
Kool-Aid man busting out of the wall over there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is fascinating though. You hear slippery slope. It's really not a slope; it's a cliff. I mean, you look at Facebook and social media. We talk about censorship. But this is well beyond that. And what we're going to see now is basically this database, this information that is going to be used against anybody who is remotely conservative. And, I'm obviously working with kids, thinking about the future, thinking about education. Anything you've ever said, anything you've ever done will be taken, misconstrued, and in waiting for the day that you decide to speak up, speak out. You're targeted. You have an investigation into you. And, at this point, they are building basically an oppo file on anybody who ever remotely is going to do anything outside the status quo there.
When
We got to stop the cult, man. It's remarkable. People fearing the cult is why cancel culture works. If there was an opportunity for people to live and work outside of whatever those institutions are, then no one would care. They'd be like, "Oh, you said this 5 years ago." They'd be like, "Oh, okay, great. Whatever. What's that going to mean?"
That's right, because in the real world, that does not impact you until you allow, like you said, basically those forces to say, you know what, actually a lot of people blew us up on Facebook today, so actually we are going to fire you, or actually we are going to do this and that. But if you actually just go around and just actually communicate with folks, and you actually talk to real people like you guys were talking about earlier when we were off the air, but are these actually even real users?
Probably
I mean,
not.
are these even real people that are stirring up a lot of this, and you don't even know, but that's what ends up happening.
It's beyond just the cult, because if you look at big tech social media, they control the commons, they control the information highways, they control what people think. Facebook was manipulating people's emotions. Mark Zuckerberg literally spent $419 million ahead of the 2020 elections in order to fortify it, specifically in major Democratic areas, to make sure that people came out and voted against Donald Trump. Mark Zuckerberg worked with the FBI to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story, a story that, according to many political experts, swayed the elections in favor of Joe Biden. Clearly, Joe Biden is the president of the intelligence agency. He has been doing their biddings. The social media companies are not there to be social media companies. They're there to be the long arm of big techs of the intelligence agencies.
Let's also remember, Facebook was experimenting on people.
Yeah.
We've mentioned this several times in the past week, that they were experimenting people, putting depressing information in their feed to see how they would respond. And sure enough, people started getting depressed. They would post depressing things. The same thing was true with positive stuff. We know about that. What else do you think they've done? I got to tell you, when they censor information, it's overt and in our face. We see it happening. But I have to imagine there's a lot of censorship you don't see at all.
Of course.
We know about shadow banning. Like we talked about it in the beginning of the show, that people are saying the link to Timcast IRL isn't working, that the notifications aren't going out. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, well, who knows what's happening? Then I go to our own website and our own auto embed feature stopped working around the exact same time. That's got to be something. There's censorship you can't see. But when it comes to the news feed on Facebook, that's where it gets real dark, because that's totally algorithmic. They're choosing what you do see. It's like not just censorship, it's curation as well. Mm-hmm. So they can make you believe whatever they want by inundating you. Yep. And
gaslighting you.
And gaslighting. Yes. I think one of the things that's happening is people like us and the people who listen to this show will seek out something. Here's the example. If YouTube is not sending out the notification for this show, and people have pointed that out, that means the people listening chose to come here. Mm-hmm. They searched for it and they tried to find it. These are people who are substantially more likely to seek out information on news events. No, it's no wonder these people, agree with us on a lot of issues. Then you look at the people who aren't willing to do that. They sit in front of their Facebook, they see a headline and they go, whoa, and then they keep scrolling and they believe it. And that's what entrenches the cult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but this is the problem. Oh, sorry to cut you off. I just want to make this point. I think I said this last time on the show. Andrew Breitbart said that in the future we're going to have internet ghettos, and that's basically where we're at now. It's where you have to have these like little, your own paywall or your own platform, and that's why but it never works. True Social is never going to be as good as Twitter, so it's kind of futile.
I would say yes to a point on that with True Social, but the engagement on True Social is actually fairly
it's
massive.
not a nothing burger, but it's just not the same. It's never going to be the same. There's a reason why you like the ease of YouTube, because the chat is just efficient, or you just it's just whatever's familiar to you. I think.
I think the main issue is only the most ardent diehards, for the most part, go to platforms like Truth or Rumble.
Yeah.
We use Rumble infrastructure, and we do post to Rumble, but when you're trying to reach independent voters and normies, you've got to be on the platforms wherever. You got to fish where the fish are, as the saying goes.
Yeah, and I mean, and what you've seen is they had control of legacy media. Then, and I was talking to you guys about this. It's funny because my background in education, they all, the conventional wisdom is kids, they can't pay attention for more than 20 minutes of a time. Learning needs to look like this. And what do you know? The most digested form of media amongst young people are podcasts like yours. Yeah. These long form, let's do deep dives. They love it. They love the challenging of conventional wisdom. Let's talk through this. Let's do a deep dive. Let's investigate this stuff. They will go along with that. But now guess what? The left says, well, we control legacy media. Well, we've got to make sure that these folks aren't able to get to more people. So now we've got to, it's a constant game of control, obviously, but it also shows that now they know. Legacy media is dying, newspaper industry is dying. So now we've got to control the podcast because, again, I come back to this. Ground zero is the war on our young people, because the reality is if they can control them, and to your point, Tim, if they control the entire narrative, and that's what most of them see, the only people that are going to be able to find the information are the truth seekers and the people willing to go above and beyond to do that.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.